Revision lesson on company characteristics, and it can also be used as replacement coursework and preparation coursework ready for component 1 AIM A. The 4-mark question. JJ Food Stores plc is the largest independent food retailer in Wales and currently operates 80 stores. Most of their stores are located in out-of-town retail parks. The business has been operating for over 30 years in Wales, but now has plans to expand the business into England. JJ Food Stores plc is a public limited company. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of a public limited company as a form of ownership for businesses. And here's a reminder of the rainbow bucket method we're going to use for extended writing. In the green bucket, you will find all the advantages. In the yellow bucket, you will find the disadvantages. In the purple bucket, you will find the high value connectives that you can select. And last but no means least, it is the conclusion, and don't think that it's a smaller bucket that means it's less points. This is where you can get your killer points with your justification. Now the exam command word here for this question is discuss, so that you clearly will need the advantages and disadvantages because it says discuss both in the question. So you'll also need the high value connectives, but remember this is 4 marks and a discuss command word, so you don't need the conclusion for this question. Well, before we go any further, let's make sure we've got some of the basics about limited companies and what they are and what is particular about them. First question then, what is a limited company? This means that people who invest in the business only risk losing the amount they have invested. If the company goes out of business, leaving debts, the owners will only lose the money that they have put into the company, the value of their shares or investment. The owners will not be forced to sell their own personal possessions like a house to pay the company's debts. For example, if an entrepreneur invested £100,000 into a limited liability company and a creditor sues the company to recover the money it loaned to the company, check that word out, the creditor loans the company money, the creditor can only get the assets of the company. So you could lose your £100,000 investment, but you couldn't lose any of your personal assets. Not good news for the creditor. I'm sure they want their £100,000 back. First question, what is a creditor? The clue's in the second part of the audio and the £100,000 example. So just replay that bit to make sure you've got that and write the answer in the box. Limited liability, a good point. Having limited liability is the main advantage of forming a company. Limited companies have a separate legal identity from the shareholders. This means that the company can buy assets, make contracts and take legal action against other businesses in its own name rather than that of its owners. A limited company can also be sued. Look at the example again. That's it above. And I would like you to explain in your own words what you think separate legal identity means. Use this box on the right for your answer. Second question then, what is particular about a limited company? Is there anything in law that you need to remember about them? You've got this legal bit. For example, let's have a look at this scenario. If you were shopping in a local corner shop that was a sole trader and you fell over some boxes that were left on the floor, then you would sue the sole trader personally as he or she is the business. In the eyes of the law, they are one person, they are the same as the business. However, if you fell over some boxes left in Tesco, which is a limited company, I'm not looking at which type yet, we just call it limited, then you will sue the company itself. that's head office Tesco, and not any individuals, Tesco staff, who work for them. The company will have to pay any compensation, money, gifts, that type of thing, from its profit. Now let's check you were paying attention in that last slide. So here's Pictionary. Well, it's a very loosely formed Pictionary. Well, in fact, it's not Pictionary at all. But anyway, all the little images from the last slide, I've got a question for you, so let's follow them. Question 1, who is this? Question 2, what action might these infamous boxes have caused? What? Question 3, what type of company is this? What type of company is Tesco? What does the law say about a sole trader when it comes to suing in the boxes incident? What does the law say about Tesco when it comes to suing in the boxes incident? Question 6. Why won't these people in the picture get sued in the boxes incident? What is getting paid from the profits if the suing became successful? Let's check you've got the rules and regulations, the legal bit now. So by law, all limited companies must register with the Registrar of Companies at Companies House. They must produce a number of legal documents about the business. All limited companies must hold annual general meetings, AGMs, and produce an annual report and accounts for shareholders to keep them informed of the company's performance. This separate legal identity is referred to as incorporation. If a business is incorporated, then it means it is a limited company. In fact, in America, they don't even use the term limited companies. They go straight to the word incorporated companies. So here in this country, we call it limited companies. Limited companies are owned by shareholders. These are the people who own shares in the company. Shares are the parts into which the value of the business is divided. The more shares that are owned, the more control the shareholders get. Well, because I know you enjoyed the last one so much, here's another funny kind of Pictionary. Question 1. What's the name of this job that's being done in the picture? Question 2. Who has to register with Companies House? Question 3. What 2 legal documents do companies need to produce? Question 4. What's the name of this document? Question 5. Who are these? Question 6. Being a limited company gives companies what? Question 7. What does a shareholder need to have lots of control over the company? Question 8. Who is this? So PLCs, what's particular about setting up one and the funds that you need for it? Q&A on PLCs. A public limited company, PLC, is usually a very big business with a large number of employees. This type of business is owned by members of the general public and other businesses who have invested their money into the company by buying shares on the stock exchange. People buy shares in the hope that the business will perform well, leading to an increase in the value of their shares. Remember, by owning a share, you get paid with a dividend. Oh look, it's in the next bit. Anyway, as with private limited companies, the profits of this type of business are sometimes paid to the shareholders in the form of dividends and are sometimes reinvested back into the business. To become a public limited company, the business must issue at least £50,000 of shares, and the procedure for setting up a public limited company is more complicated than that for a private limited company. The main aims of a public limited company will be to increase and maximise its profit, we've heard that one before, in order for the shareholders to receive a good return on their investment. Many public limited companies will also aim to achieve growth by expanding their business and opening more outlets, we've seen that one before, producing a wider range of products, we've got that one as well, and employing more staff, we've covered that too. Many public limited companies will also have ethical and environmental aims. Think about how many companies come and help the school as well. That's also called corporate social responsibility. Now, if you notice in that last paragraph, there's quite a few similarities between the aims of a PLC and that of the LTDs, the private ones. The main difference is how they raise their money. Now, a PLC, if you remember, raises its money through selling shares to the general public on the stock exchange. So here are your questions. Question 1. What is the stock exchange? Look it up, but your answer should be in your own words. Or if you know it already, feel free to write your answer below. Question 2. What is a dividend? Slide 14 has the answer to help you. Question 3. How much money do you need to set up a PLC? Question 4. What are usually the main aims of a PLC? There's 5 of them. The final question then, we are looking at the advantages and disadvantages specifically now about the PLC form of ownership. Fibs back. This time it's for the advantages and disadvantages of a public limited company, as you can see below. However, yes, same as before, some of them are not in the right place. In fact, there's quite a few that are not in the right place. So it's your job to sort them out and find those fibs. So you look at each of the columns and we'll go from there. Advantages of public limited companies. Now you've got 5 bullet points below. You need to have a look through them and decide which ones are the good points, the advantages, and they stay where they are, and which ones are the disadvantages and you move them over to the right. Here are the disadvantages on the right. You've got 5 bullet points there. You need to look through these bullet points, and those which are disadvantages you keep on the right, and any that you think are actually in the wrong place, they're advantages, shimmy them over to the left. Be aware though that this is revision, so this is about you putting your efforts into doing your research into PLCs, and this activity was called Find the Fib. That means that not all the advantages and disadvantages are in the right order, and in order to find the answer you need to go to the link at the bottom, and if this is a video then you'll find the link on the Mrs. Lawson Busy Lessons site, the Green Dragon site, and it will be lesson 11 on retail, as the title says, as well as the link. And here's a clean copy of the 4-mark question. Remember, this is a discuss the advantages and disadvantages, so you don't need a conclusion, and this is a one we've covered all the revision, so this is now for you to put your 4-mark response together.